What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. And today I have the one and only Robert from Ask BRS. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you, Devin?
Excellent, thank you. So today I figured it would be fitting to kind of talk about heating and cooling a tank, since I know my tank's been a little on the toasty side and I've had to have some fans and starting to worry about cooling, which is something I've never had to do before. So on the flip side,
crazy.
I mean, heaters are the biggest way people have crashed a tank in the past. So I figured perfect topic for the day.
Definitely. And it's fitting, summertime, things get hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
So speaking of, how you been doing, Robert? It's been a month or so. Yeah?
Yeah, a month. Hopefully we can keep this up. Really good, man. Busy. Took a little bit of time off last week. My sister was in town from California, so that was awesome.
Nice.
I have officially, I think, landed everything I need for this fish tank build, so we are getting rolling on that. Yeah, I know, I'm super excited. I kind of had told myself, okay, because I had a different company here through the holiday, and so I told myself, just wait till after that, and we can build. So hopefully we'll start seeing that pretty soon. I got my rock; it's all cleaned up and everything. I killed it out and then cleaned it, so there's that, which is good. So I can start working on the aquascape.
Nice. You got the tank?
Yeah, I have the tank. Yeah, I've had the tank. That's what I had first. Things in AskBRS TV are growing. Busy. Well,
Oh yes.
It's just growing like crazy. It's awesome. Doing really cool stuff. Yeah, man. I don't know. Just sort of rocking and rolling.
Awesome. No, it's good to hear, man. Things are definitely crazy and hopping over there. And I'm actually excited to see you finally build your tank. I know you've been talking about it for a while, so it's coming to life.
I'm so excited. Yeah, just COVID slowed it all down, and then you know how life is. But
I know.
I was, my main concern was getting rolling, since I kind of want to document it and show everybody and do the content thing, and I didn't want to get rolling and then run into something where I was missing something for a month and a half. That's terrible, and I would get super frustrated. So I think I've got all the puzzle pieces. Now it's just the hardest puzzle pieces, so plumbing. And I got to do this RO system. I got to put it together. So it's probably I'm gonna mix two RO systems together. So it's two smaller RO systems with a booster pump. So I got to build it all, in other words. And I know how to do it. It's all easy stuff, but at the same time, fitting after fitting, testing everything, so.
Nope, exactly.
That'll take me a weekend, but I will certainly talk about it in AskBRS TV, so you guys will definitely see and hear it.
It sounds like you should make a video while you're at it.
Yeah, I'll probably make some. I'll probably make some videos on my phone or something.
Perfect, works for me. There's that's speaking of plumbing. That's my own slight worry, because I'm gonna be replacing the sump on the water box in the near future, as well as the office tank. So I have this big box of plumbing parts I'd order. It's hopefully I'm not missing anything.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Especially when you go with nice plumbing.
I know.
It's gray or Schedule 80, and then
missing a piece. You got to order it, then wait.
Or you go to Home Depot and just say screw it and get the white one, and then forever will be pissed at yourself.
Yeah, I can't.
You should have just waited.
I know. So worried my tank will be running without a sump for a day or two if I'm missing a part or something. So hopefully it's all good. So we'll find out. And then
how's that custom tank you getting built, right? Or did you get it yet?
The tank is done. The sump should be done, so I'm hoping it will ship this week.
Are they being built by the same people, or what's going on there?
Yeah, same people.
Nice. And it's a glass sump?
Yep. It's glass,
Oh,
but I did like an acrylic kind of like faceplate bezel thing on it just to make it look a little fancier.
hmm. Is it
So
like logoed and all branded out or
no,
no?
not logos. Did I show you a photo? I'll see if I can find one after. But yeah, I
Yeah,
posted it
please.
to Instagram, but it looks pretty good.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah.
find it.
Okay.
I guess I can find it right now.
Yeah, man, you got the power.
I do.
So that's all my exciting for the local, not the local, but the plumbing, the tank. So both got an upgrade coming, which will be pretty good. As for heating and cooling, so my tank hit like 81 or 82 a week or two ago. It was like
Oof,
super
scary.
toasty, and it's never been that hot. Normally, I've always had tanks in the basement. It's been cool enough, never an issue. Or I have air
Yeah.
conditioning in the house. The
Right, right,
wife,
right.
the wife likes it toasty, so she always turns off the air conditioning, and opens all the windows. Meanwhile, I'm like my
Um,
tank, so I gotta
yeah,
I gotta
yeah, yeah,
sneak it
yeah.
on. So I finally added a fan to the tank, and that's been a big difference. So I have a like 240 or 4 whatever the heck it is, like a massive PC fan, the ones in the thumbnail.
I was gonna say, I remember you showed me a picture. You used a just sort of a PC fan. Did you point it? Like, how did you install it?
Just a 45. I actually just use like a little piece of like flexible wire that's kind of hanging off my light bar just to like 45 it. I might 3D
Oh, I
print like
got
a
you.
pretty mount to make something later.
Yeah, you will.
I probably will. So
I hope you do.
yeah, it's either the question is, do I just keep my one big fan or do I get like an army of 120 mil fans and just build like a lower
Yeah,
profile one, kind of like
those
the
ones. I think it's GHL, right? That
yeah.
makes that big, the big long box one.
Is it
Um,
JHL? JHL or Toonsy? One of the two have like a row. I
well,
think they both
Tunzi,
do.
yeah, Tunzi it makes like I think they call it the Aqua Wind, where it's like a flat fan that directs the water, and it's more like I call it air mover, but like Dyson makes those fans where it
Yeah.
has kind of like paddles. I
Hmm.
think it's kind of like that, to where it pushes water out like a flat side, and then yeah, your GHL one is just like a row of
Yeah.
computer fans.
Yeah, I'll probably 3D print something similar to the GHL if I do it. Because then I think it will be a bit sleeker if it's just a little strip along the top rather than my massive fan
Yeah,
dangling off my light bar.
there's got to be a way to make that look. I think Tunzi was trying to do it with their design, where it's like
Hmm.
make it look sleeker. Um, there's a way. There's got to be a way. Maybe we can do like you've got some fan that moves air through a tube, and then the tube just kind of like a row of tube with
Hmm.
little holes in it or something that comes across.
A little swamp cooler, a little ice bucket down there, and a little tube
Yeah,
blowing
or
water.
something. I don't know, something crazy.
I actually tried one thing that I did is having I could fit a 120 mil between each of my radions. I could have them up high blowing down, which is actually pretty stealthy. So I contemplated that route as well.
Yeah,
And just
yeah,
friction fit in
I guess
between
it
the
worked.
light fixtures. But
Yeah, as long as it was there,
hmm
blowing on top of the water. So anyway, you're 82. Did the fan cool it down?
yes, it did. It works
Okay,
pretty
how
well.
many degrees? How many degrees?
It definitely dropped a couple degrees off from it, so it was
So cool.
surprisingly well. Like it worked a lot better than I would think. Like
Was it just hot out, or like what do you think it was?
scorching, cooking.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Cool.
So I know. So on the note, okay. So there is the chiller route. I've never personally used a chiller. I know lots of people that do. It is a good kind of solution, but if it's inside your house, the problem is it cranks out a lot of heat as it's doing that kind of heat
Yeah, it
exchange.
just heats the room that the tank is in.
Yep.
So you gotta, yeah. I mean, there's different ways. Like I've seen guys put them outside, which is probably the best because the noise is out there and the heat's out there, so it's efficient and everything. But then it gets dirty.
Hmm.
So you want to clean it. And probably, I can't imagine these things hold up to weather all that well. So you'd have to,
Hmm.
probably protect it or something in a box. The basement, I think, is kind of like the coolest solution because it's weather
Easy.
protected. Yeah, but then, then you're dealing with the pump power. So
True.
then you got to pump water through it. But I suppose if you got your sump down there and you're already running lines through and going down to a basement, I suppose that would be super efficient. But
Hmm.
you put it in a small room, man, and
It
you're trying to heat
cooking
say
itself.
120 gallon or chill 120-gallon tank. You're almost working against yourself.
Well, on that same note, I mean, we were talking earlier that people, I've seen that happen, or you have too, with like heaters and chillers at the same time. People don't set the temperature offset enough.
Yeah, that's an interesting one where it, it it seems so like obvious, but then at the same time, they do end up fighting themselves. And I think what it is discrepancy in like temps.
Hmm.
So you've got one uh, reading, let's just say 78, but the water's really 77, and the other one's reading 77, but the water's really 78 or 76. So then they end up fighting in that sense because the actual temperature, is different, and so or is the same,
Yeah.
and they have it set wrong. So you've got to really have that 2-degree buffer and then watch what they do, not just program it that way, but watch what they actually like when they actually turn on and off and ensure they're
Yep.
not running at the same time.
Make sure they're
Um,
actually calibrated properly and.
There you go.
not secretly the same temperature. Now,
Right, right, right.
you can get heater controllers as well that heat and cool in the same one, right? They got an outlet for each, and that's another solution. So you have
Yep.
a single unit controlling both rather than
Right.
multiple independent units potentially
Yeah,
fighting
but
with each other.
then with that one, I think what was the old control? Oh, like the Renko controllers that they would work with Aqualogic chillers,
Yeah.
and they had a dual stage where you'd have the heat and the control on one,
Hmm.
but then at the same time, like, oh, and I've seen chillers. There are chillers with plugs on them for your heater. So
Really?
there are some, yeah,
Oh, I
I've
haven't
seen
seen that.
that before. Yeah, where you can plug your heater right into the chiller.
Hmm.
But point being is it's everything's all your heaters have a temp controller in them, and all your chillers have one in it. So I suppose it would just be like that. Your dual stage would probably be like your backup for everything,
Hmm.
and then you'd operate mainly on the built-in thermostats, and then
Okay, so
use
all
the second one.
right, here's a good question for you. Okay, so when using a heater on a tank, I'm always a big fan of running two heaters, and I like to run two half size instead of a full size heater. So if you need, say, 300 watts, you'd run two 150s, or
Right.
maybe two 200s. And that's more of like a safety slash redundancy point. So if one gets
Hmm.
stuck on, it's not going to cook your tank, doesn't have enough juice, or if one fails, then the other one kind of keep it afloat.
Now you're setting the second one a little lower, right? So it's not
Mhm.
always turning on. It's just you have like one main heater and then one backup that only kicks in basically when the other one fails or it's really really cold out.
No, exactly. Kevin, quick shout out. Thanks for the super chat. Definitely a bonus in Florida. Great topic. Thank you. Thank you. So okay, with the heaters. Now this is a question for you because I've seen this question asked a bazillion times. So I'm curious.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you have a heater controller that controls the two heaters, as well as the heaters, say if they have their own thermostat inside of it,
Hmm. Hmm.
do you set the built-in ones to be the backup or the main one, or the heater controller be the backup or the main one? I see that question come up a bazillion times.
Okay,
So
so
which way?
naturally, yeah, I don't know that it really matters. I would set the one that's on the heater to be the main one, and then use the external one as a backup.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, just why? I don't know. It just seems fun. It just seems logical to do it that way. But is there a reason? No.
Okay.
I'm
Fair.
trying to think like cutting the power. Like ultimately, I want the power to be cut.
Hmm.
And I suppose the one like the onboard one can't cut power.
Yeah. Okay. So I do it the opposite way.
Okay. Why?
And my rationale is that if a heater fails, is really ever the element, it's usually the thermostat, which is that little tiny
Right.
flimsy piece of metal that flips back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. 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 Uh-huh.
So I figure if it never gets used, it's not going to really burn out. So if you let the heater controller control on and off, and the built-in one, you just set it like a degree or two higher as the backup.
Yeah, but the controller, like
Yeah,
the
it
heater
could bring it burnt
controller
out.
has a better, it has a switch or like a relay in it that's
Yeah,
not
that's why.
probably better quality.
So who knows? It's a toss up at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Apex one where,
Hmm.
what do you do? Do you use the Apex as the main? Do you use it as a backup? Well, I think most people use it as the backup, but then there's tons of guys that swear up and down. It's like, no, I use Apex as a main because I get a tighter, variance.
Okay, now here's
But
another question. Do you think there's an advantage of tighter variants, or do you think it's better to have a little bit of a swing in your tank? Because I see some people that like it doesn't budge, it's like a third of a degree, and I see other people that purposely let it swing a degree or two because they think it makes their corals like hardier and more healthy.
I wouldn't say I've ever tried that, or
Yeah.
do I haven't? Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. But I mean, my tanks are always going to swing a little bit. I keep tanks a little low too. Like it's weird. I'll keep them like 76 most of the time,
Hmm.
just because.
Yep.
I just think it's. I don't like the heaters having to work so hard. And I think you get, if they're not working all the time, you get a bit more life out of it. But
Hmm.
I've just always had success at keeping them at 76. And I mean, I should say, I'm trying to think of the situation. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably been about 5 to 6 years now that I've just started keeping them at,
Hmm.
76, 77. Um,
So
and yeah, been successful.
okay. I used to be 77, 78 type of range, and recently I
Hmm.
dropped to like 74, 76 as like a buffer so it doesn't get too hot.
Right.
So that's what I've been doing lately, and that's mainly because of that. A few minutes ago in the chat, yeah, it probably was a big V8 going by. The window's open.
Yeah.
So someone was asking, did I notice a big difference from the temperature spiking up? And the biggest thing I noticed is a lot of my A cans have been closed up the past week, and I think
Yeah.
that was from the temperature swing.
So I have a
Because
terrible heat story.
do tell, do tell.
So I killed some clams that way, and it
Mm-hmm.
was back when I was living in California.
Oof,
It was a metal halide tank.
oof.
Actually, I think I can show you the tank. Where did I put those pictures? I had some pictures. Maybe I can show them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man. So didn't have a chiller. Um, Basically the heater never ran on that tank except for a little bit at night because metal halide would just heat it up. It had so it was a 60 cube, four T5s, 24-inch T5s, and a 250-watt metal halide. So it had some light,
Mm-hmm.
man. And yeah, I mean the tank. One summer day it just got hot. I was at work and I knew, so I had an Apex and I knew the tank was running. I knew it was getting up to like 82, right?
Yeah.
And then one day we just had a gnarly like 100+ degree day, and luckily the only thing that died was the three clams, but they were like maximas that were, gosh, 7-8 inches across,
Oof.
and man, they made the tank stinky. But luckily, I caught it that night and I was able to clean it all up, and now I've got cool clamshells. I still have the clamshells
Yeah.
because it reminds me. But interesting enough, what I was saying, it got to 85 and nothing. I think a firefish jumped, but they jumped. I can't say that it was because of the heat or not. They just
Mm-hmm.
jumped. But yeah, I was pretty surprised that nothing else melted or died. It was just the clams. And then the same thing happened to a Durasa clam with me. Now this wasn't at home. This was at an office tank.
Mm-hmm.
But the AC went out, and these were somewhat new clams to me at the time, so they were like maybe 3 4 months old. But
Mm-hmm.
they're Durasas, like pretty hardy clam. They were I think they were the ORA ones, so
Mm-hmm.
they're used to life inside a tank. And that time it only got to 83 and they died. So
Really? Ah,
yeah,
dang.
I know, I was bummed. But interesting enough, like those are the only things I've ever killed with temperature.
Yep.
So
So, okay. So with temperature wise, now, because you say you keep yours around 76-ish, so a little cooler. I
yeah,
mean,
I think I'll set them at 75 or 76, just
okay.
kind of. Yeah.
So lately I'm 74 to 76, 75, somewhere in that
And that's just
range.
to give yourself a leeway before it gets hot, just
It
because like
it
takes
is.
longer to heat it up to dangerous levels.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
there also is like scullies and like certain acans. Like there's actually lots of corals that prefer cooler temp. So it
Yep.
is kind of interesting. Now, higher temp, you'll get a bit better growth of your corals. So it's a trade-off. So things will grow faster.
Hmm.
But I find things just seem a little happier at a lower temp, which is a different way of looking at it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Reef automation found the same thing. Seems to be better, 76, 77. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you get higher growth, but you're more on risky native issues and stuff, at least
Yeah,
in the
but
summer.
I mean, so what? How much is that growth?
Hmm.
Like what's the difference? I suppose any with coral, any little bit counts. If it's 1% better
Yeah.
growth, like I'll take it.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, I mean, pretty sure it's minimal. I think the less stress on the heater, and the benefit of just sort of being in a little bit safer zone. And some fish too like that temperature range a little bit better. I think that's what started me going down that
Yep.
road was there was some fish that I was keeping that um, maybe it was pipefish, maybe it
Hmm.
was pipefish or something. And then from then on, yeah, I just kept setting them at 77,
Yep.
76 and never looked back.
Yeah. I know my blue spot jawfish more likes the cooler side of things too. So
Right.
he's so okay. So smaller tanks, heating, cooling. I mean, heaters, fans, easy way to do it.
Hmm.
As tanks get bigger and bigger, that can get very expensive electricity. So another really good way of doing is using a heat exchanger.
Yeah.
And one of the cool ways I've seen of a bit of a DIY approach is hooking it up to your hot water tank. So
Yes, that's a really
mhm,
cool one. So, well, you want me to tell? You tell.
go for it.
So yeah, I've got a buddy. His name's Steve Garrett. He owns this outdoor coral farm. Grows a bunch of acros and stuff. Every kind of coral. He's got a bunch of zoas and all kinds of stuff. Not many LPS, but acros and soft corals for sure.
Hmm.
Gorgonians, he grows those too, but grows them outside under sunlight. He's got these big runs that he built, and yeah, he heats those things with um, just a household water heater. It's
Yep.
pretty awesome. Just takes fresh water,
Hmm.
pumps it through it, has it on a pump, has the pump in like, so he's buried the lines and then has this pump inside a cooler, which is it's like a buried cooler, right? And
Yep.
it's just like a God, what was it? I think it was one of those Eheim hobby pumps. He has it just connected in this cooler and then pumps the water through, and then he's got rows and rows of plastic or PVC.
Hmm.
I think it's PVC. There's like some. It's a particular type of temperature I guess, resistant PVC. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't break down or get brittle when you heat it up. And just runs that in the big sump, and
Yep.
sure enough, man, his whole system, surprisingly, he said it was close to being carbon negative. So he's got
Really?
some solar running on there, yeah, and
That's
so
cool.
he does all of this stuff. He's really green about it, and being giant, God, whatever they 600-700 gallon systems
Mm-hmm.
and having minimal carbon footprint's pretty awesome.
That
That was
is
what impressed me.
that is really cool.
Yeah,
I think if I ever got to that kind of like 3 to 500 gallon range, I'd look at that and just pipe it into the hot
totally.
water tank. You use some PEX.
Tesla
Just
batteries, man.
oh yeah,
Julian,
you
that's what
know,
Julian just installed. I'm so
really?
stoked to like. Yeah, he posted about it. He's talking about so Julian Sprung
Yep.
had some hurricane damage, I think is what it was, and yeah, like that's what was his solution after rebuilding from that, and um, all the stuff that happened. Oh yeah, because he lost his tank. That's what it was. He lost his tank. You remember he
Yeah.
lost a bunch of corals and stuff. Um, and so this was he just got the Tesla Power Center and was pretty stoked on it. And I was like,
Huh.
man, we should all have those. I
We
think
should.
every house in the nation,
Every
the world,
tank. Every tank.
every tank. Yeah.
There was. So on that note, not fancy Tesla style, but I have my ghetto
hmm
solar that I did a few years
Okay.
back, which runs on
You
my
like
lands.
built it, right?
Yep. So I got
For what?
four 100 watt panels,
Okay.
and they charge a bunch of like massive deep cycle batteries, and it's currently runs my landscape lighting. However,
You gotta
I've
put that to better use, Devin.
I know it's like future use. So
Landscape lighting.
I
You don't
know,
even need that.
I know, but it's kind of like future use. It was just I wanted to play with
Yeah.
solar, and
No,
I
I
ordered a
understand
bunch
that.
of cheap overseas panels and built the system.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking of actually running up like some like landscape, like the thicker gauge wire into my attic and
Uh-huh.
then over, then down to the tank. And if I hook that
Yeah.
up to all my power heads, that's like the ultimate battery backup. Like that thing would
Yeah,
run it
man,
for
do
like
it.
weeks. Be
Do it.
great.
Dude,
So
people love that video. Do it.
yeah, I
I
think I
think
might.
I mean I've always wanted to do this, and if I, here where I'm at in Tennessee, we do get some sort of like it just seems like more frequent power outages, but they're never really long.
Hmm.
And California, we just never really seemed to affect me. I mean, they had like some blackouts occasionally, but it was just so quick all the time. Never anything that was long, so it never bothered me too much. But out here, it might be worthwhile to investigate something like that. And I think what's cool about it though is like you're not so the Ecotech battery and I think the ice cap, yeah, the ice cap one. I mean that's great, keeps your tank alive, but at the same time, like yes, a power head keeps it oxygen, it keeps the fish alive, but for
Hmm.
extended period of time, man, you're gonna need some other, you're gonna need more than just a power head.
Yeah.
When you're talking like 2 days,
I think I would do the power heads, or at least one power head and maybe the
uh
return pump. Because if I have that much battery capacity, then the whole system is
Yeah,
flowing. Plus, maybe
I
one
would
power head in
just
the tank.
yeah, I mean, it's hard because heaters take so much power, but
Hmm.
temperature's going to be a thing, like wintertime and power goes out, like,
True.
you're going to be heating your, I mean, I would probably, you got to heat your house, keep your family warm, right? So
Yeah. Like
there's that. I would just make them camp out in the fish tank room, heat that room.
well, I have a gas heater, like gas furnace, right? So if power goes, it doesn't matter. Like, still, I guess you're not getting your blower fan though. But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But
fair
you can
enough.
still technically make warmth.
Yeah.
Um, Generator and a PC battery backup. Oh yeah, that's another thing I did way back in the day. This is not recommended, but I took apart a UPS and I added like a whole slew of batteries to it. So it was like this big massive bank that it charged.
Explosion. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a big massive battery
What kind
backup.
of batteries do you put in it?
Just like the ones that came with it, but I just
Okay.
put like a ton of them in parallel. But it actually worked pretty well. You could totally use this like a trickle charger though. I actually bought this stuff, so I already have these
Yeah.
batteries for my new tank. But now I'm debating if I do my massive overkill one. But I got two 18 amp hour batteries and like a trickle charger and all this stuff. So super easy DIY battery backup. So
Nice.
if you guys don't have a battery backup, 100% should. A little off topic from the heating and cooling, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, just emergency stuff, like
mhm.
yeah, batteries are one of the smartest things you can do for your tank for sure
Nope.
because it'll it'll go south quick, man, without power for
Yep.
sure. Oxygen's gone, and then nothing can stay alive.
And on that note, maybe we add a battery fan on battery to keep your tank cool during these no flow times.
There you go, fan. Yeah, that would be definitely be something you could do.
Yeah, I know Mark Mila's Reef. He has a little fan. He has just like hangs literally in his overflow chamber, shooting straight down at the water, and it's cool as a surprising amount. Like
That
it.
seems like a good idea because the water's you're constantly hitting new water and
Yep.
it's moving.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gets an insane evaporation rate, but keeps it cool.
Yep. No, exactly. And it makes a big difference. Like it's amazing how much a fan can do. Like most people don't need a chiller. Like a
Oh
fan
yeah.
is all you really need, right?
Well, and like that's the thing too with chillers. I think I it said it somewhere along the lines. Like, nobody really like in this day and age, man. You got DC pumps, you got
Mm-hmm.
LED lighting. I mean, back when I started, it was like external pump, and then or submersible AC pump and metal halide lights. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you were, even in an AC cooled house, like your tank would get hot,
Yeah.
But now it seems to just kind of phased out, like
Mm-hmm.
I would say less than, I don't know, 20% of tanks need it. I mean, I'm just guessing, but like
Very few
I
do.
would never ever, support or recommend chillers. Like it's super, super rare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this time 10 years ago,
Everybody.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it was constantly every summer, like people would be calling, Mom, my chiller went out. I need it ASAP, overnight
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, so I mean, technology, that's great, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's kind of strange. It's just like nobody really needs to run them anymore.
Yeah. Have you ever done like the getaway of like RODI ice cubes or like frozen water bottles thrown in your
Well,
tank to
so
cool it?
okay, so here's the power out thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I have floated. So when I killed those clams, right? I mean, that summer. So past that day, I was so mad at myself that yes, I would take a 2 liter bottle and float it in the sump
Mm-hmm.
um, every morning
Oh, every
for
morning?
yeah, because
Oh,
like I
crazy.
would go to work and I was just like, well, I can't turn the lights off, and I mean I did. I turned the lights off for a little bit, um, but then I just got paranoid that I was gonna start affecting the corals. The tank was growing, and I didn't want to change anything up. And then so yeah, I just started floating 2 liter bottles, and yeah, I just put a new in it. So I'd come home, I'd pull it out, it would be melted. I'd put it back in the in the freezer, and then by morning I just drop it back in the tank. And
Hmm.
it worked. I mean, it kept me
Yeah.
down like at 80 from 83.
Ooh, it's toasty.
Um,
Gotta save the clams.
but it's definitely a way. I mean, it's definitely a way to
Mm-hmm.
you could like freeze Tupperwares and float them in there. I know people that just throw ice cubes in like RO water ice cubes. I've seen that
Works.
before. Yeah, it totally works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good backup plan. Floating ice cubes if you need it.
No, hey, exactly. I mean, yeah, water bottle is probably a better idea because it won't necessarily melt and you don't care if it's RODI or not, but
Yeah, and like you don't have this big thing floating around your display to break coral and stuff. So
that's
just
true.
like
And unless it's like an RODI ice cube, which could double as your auto top off for the day if you're super
all
budget.
right. Yeah, that's what I was saying is like people throwing ice cubes in.
That's not a bad
But
idea. You could have
just
like a Tupperware freeze with RODI that could melt your auto top off as well as cool your tank at the same time.
oh, like keep cold ATO water.
No, no, no. Well, I mean that too. But your
Okay.
ice cube would be your ATO water, right?
Hmm.
And it would cool your tank.
I wonder. So like you get these surges of like an influx of plankton or like a strange like storm surge or like some
Mm-hmm.
cold water surge, on a reef.
Yep.
So I wonder like what kind of things we could trigger with like like flush the reef with live Fido and cold water.
Mm-hmm.
Would it create some sort of like physiological response in the coral or like do something for them to where it's probably just give them food, but it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting thing to think about. Like,
Well, I
could
know
you create that scenario? They've got storm mode on lights, but man, let's make a storm mode. Get it all dirty or something.
that's true. Well,
you know?
I know with whatchamacallit, like rock flowers and stuff, like part of the
Hmm.
temperature thing is triggering spawning, and same with some of the corals. Like some of it is temperature related. With fish, right?
Sure.
It's certain be a certain temperature, then get cooler, get hotter,
Yep.
whatever it is. So it very
Sure.
well could trigger, some unknown stuff.
How did that flower nem project go? Do you still have all those nems? You have them in a nano, right?
The nanos no more. They're currently in a giant fridge bin in my tank beside me. Not giant,
But
it's like
you have them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Okay. Did
I
you get any like spawning, reproduction, anything
yeah,
happen?
no, I had a bunch of babies.
Oh,
I think I
congratulations.
thank you, oh father. Uh, so yeah, no, I had probably not like tons of babies, but I think I
Yeah.
had 5 or 6 for sure.
Okay.
And
Cool.
they're in the box now, and I think I saw 1 or 2 little babies in there. So not crazy amounts, but I did get some. So it's still pretty cool.
That's neat. Was it a lot of work?
No, not really.
That's good.
Other than my day of transplanting sperm donors from tank to tank. That was ridiculous. It was like literally, it's like one of the rock flowers were like was releasing sperm in my big tank. I'm like, no, no,
Uh-huh.
no, no. I'm with the turkey baster, like suck it out, running over and spit it in the other tank. And I was like, breed, breed.
It worked, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So,
try something with my garden this year, so I'm excited about, like basically
mhm,
manual pollination. So like the birds and bees, like birds and bees get pollen on their bodies and they go to another plant and they pollinate it, right? So something you can do to get like a better uh, crop
mhm.
is take a little paintbrush or something and just go between the flowers on your
Hmm.
plant, manually pollinate them, right?
I've never thought about that. Makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, I've got I saw my friend doing it once, and I was kind of asking him. I was like, well, why would you, He's like, well, I just want to get the maximum yield, and I was like, well, I guess it makes sense.
Mhm.
I never really thought that it wouldn't. I just my thinking is nature does what it needs, or
Mhm.
what happens, and so he definitely got a ton and ton of. He was doing like um, squash and zucchini and
Mhm.
things like that. The big flowers, big orange flowers, and he was doing that. And he got a good yield. He always had like
Huh.
a big fruit on the plant. So I want to try it this year. I've got a couple big, got like a regular zucchini, and then I've got these cool UFO squash that I'm excited about. So
Oh, that's cool. So you'll
yeah,
actually get better yields by giving it more of
well,
a
you just
variety
pollinate
of
more
pollen.
flowers.
Okay.
Well, no, no, no. You just pollinate more flowers. I think is what
Yeah.
it is. It's the same pollen. It's just a
Okay.
matter of like
So you're like
uh,
little from you, little from you, little from you, little for you. Just
yeah,
spread it
you just
around.
kind of you just take it from different plants and then ensuring that all the flowers possible are getting pollinated, so you're not losing out on any, one particular flower that didn't get pollinated because
Hmm.
it was ugly and a bee didn't like it or something.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I'm questioning is like I have a hard time believing that pollen in say a 10 foot by 10 foot garden is not
Everywhere.
getting there. Yeah, like I think about
The wind blows it. Little bees land on it. They drop it on the next
right,
one.
there's just so many bugs, and I think about what is that? Like fungus spores or
Hmm.
mushroom spores. Like they say that stuff is everywhere. Like you could
Yeah.
like in your house you'll find fungus spores. So I just kind of I've always thought of pollen like the same way. Like it probably just permeates everything.
Hmm.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, it's funny the correlation. They like spreading all the love, and then the tank, manually doing it with the turkey baster and rock flowers, trying to make sure they all get some.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Turn off the circulation pumps when they're spawning, and make
Okay,
sure it gets everywhere.
we should probably stay on topic, right?
Yeah, a little all over the place. Okay. Tank temperatures. That's another one I see constantly. What do you
Sure.
think is ideal tank temperatures? I think you said 75, 76 is where you
Yeah,
keep yours.
75 is just like I said, it was because of fish. I was keeping some fish at the time. I'm pretty sure it was pipefish is what
Mm-hmm.
got me here. Maybe anglers too. I think because I had a couple anglers and scorpion fish at one point in time.
Yep.
Had a Fu Manchu, which was really cool too.
They're
Fu
cool.
Manchu lionfish. Yeah. And I think that's when it started for me because I was just reading that the range you can keep them from 72 to 78, but
Mm-hmm.
they prefer it in the 74 to 76 range, or let's just say 74. So I stuck it at 75 and just kind of always have done it since. I've never had any ill effects to it, nor anybody give me a compelling case as to why I would not want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
And then also, like you said, it's just a bigger climb to get to danger zone. And
Yep.
so not having my heater work as much, giving myself the 5 degree buffer before it's like 80 degrees in the tank. I feel
Mm-hmm.
those two things right there are enough for me to, keep it there.
There's a,
Your more growth is interesting, in a sense
yep.
of, I don't know, I'll probably read more about it now. I'll get all infatuated, but
Mm-hmm.
curious to see like what exactly how much we talking and why
Well,
and what corals that applies to.
well, if you think about it, okay, the hotter
Mhm.
things are, the faster metabolism, right? So
Sure,
that
yeah.
goes for fish, that goes for coral, like everything, right? If
Hmm.
you like certain, even whatchamacallit,
Okay.
flatworms. I was reading a big article about them,
Hmm.
where higher tank temps, like they'll spawn, they'll go faster. Slower tank temps, it really slows them
Right.
down. There's a lot less spreading. So like
Sure.
there's all types of different things. It just
But
speeds
you
up
drop
metabolism.
like your QT tank. If you got a sick fish and you want to stop it from progressing,
Mm-hmm.
putting them in like 70-degree water, 72-degree water, will slow it down. Slow fish's metabolism would also slow down whatever infection.
Mm-hmm. Nope, exactly. So yeah, same thing. Even infections, like everything can be slowed down. So like you want to speed up ick in a tank, an ick life cycle. You raise the temp. You want to slow it down. You drop it down. So there's a lot of things you could do based off
Sure,
temperature.
sure, sure, definitely.
So good way to do it. Um,
What about you? What's your ideal tank? Are you 77, 78?
Normally, now I'm 74
Yeah.
to 76 the past few weeks. I just dropped it
Nice.
down a few degrees just to
Well,
not
let's
worry
talk
about it.
about it. So how do you set it? So your differential or your hysteresis. Like, how do you
Yep.
set that? Do you use like a 1 degree, half degree?
I think I
What
have
do you
it. I think I have a half degree. It might be one
half
degree.
degree?
Can't remember.
So you'll be
I have the BRS controller on that tank. Whatever the default is. I think I
so
half a
that's a
degree
point
maybe. Is it point
point
three or
point
point
three.
five?
Yeah, point
Yeah.
three on the BRS one.
Okay.
Typically most of them are 1 or 0.5.
hmm And then
But like
yeah,
if you're using the Apex, I think you can control that differential as
yeah,
well. Yeah,
yeah. You could
you
for
can
sure.
program that. Yeah.
You can program it to point one. You can be like on
Right.
off, on off, on off if you want, right? So whatever you
Right.
want.
Right.
Uh,
So the issue with that, just for the sake of knowledge, is if you set it too tight. So like, oh, I want a solid temp, so I'm gonna do it at point 0.1.
mhm.
Well, what's gonna happen is it's gonna constantly turn on and off, and you'll wear out your heater quicker than anything because it'll
Mhm.
wear out in probably a month because it's turning off a
Well,
million times a day.
it's actually not even the heater. It's more like your Apex or your heater controller. There's a relay or like a thermo whatever triac whatever the heck it is, a little electronic piece, right? Where the relay,
Hmm.
whatever it is, but it
Right.
has, maybe it's rated for like 100,000 cycles or like
Oh, right,
a
right.
million cycles, right?
The relay thing that turns on and off.
Yeah, triac, that's the other
Yeah.
one. But but
Right.
that can burn out eventually, right? So if you have it half a degree, maybe it's on and off 10 times a day. If it's 0.1 degree, maybe it's on and off 100 times a day, right? So you're going to burn it out 10 times faster.
There you go.
So that's another
That was my
thing.
point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and that's your heated controllers or anything has it in it. So
Right.
that's one of the big arguments of using a heater controller rather than your Apex is
Hmm.
a heater controller is 40, $50. An Apex power bar is a couple $100, right?
Hmm.
So it's cheaper to, if that ever dies, you can replace that and then just
Hmm.
use your Neptune or GHL or whatever your
Well,
controller
it's
controller as a
even
backup.
yeah. I mean, it's even at the point where I would. I've been lucky. I've only had one heater go out on me, and it failed off, and the tank it was in a climate controlled environment, so I think the tank only got down to like 73, 72.
Hmm.
Because usually, yeah, because it was in an office setting, so I think it was like 75 natural ambient temperature, so it probably didn't get that low. But it was off for like 5 days. I didn't even know it, until things started acting a little funny.
Hmm.
And I was like, "What's going on?" And I went through everything and didn't even think about temperature. And then I finally stuck my hand in the tank, and I was like, "Oh, it's cold."
Yep.
Or not warm, I should say. Yeah, so I've been pretty lucky and never had anything like go the opposite way or explode or do any of the horror stories for heaters. But I definitely keep a backup and I definitely replace them before they go out.
Hmm.
So I will, heaters get caked up with, you know, uh, like precipitate or calcium
Yep.
buildup because electricity and heat both hastens that process. So your heater's going to be the first thing that gets caked up with stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of times when I get to the point where I'm like, I should clean this heater or I can't turn a little dial or something, I'll just replace it.
Yeah.
And
I
so
vinegar bath it.
yeah, see, I would, like pumps, I do pretty much monthly, or I'll swap them out. I like
Hmm.
to have so say I'm using two pumps, I like to have a third one of the
Yep.
same kind, and then I can just keep them on a cycle. Yeah, it's the same thing with like the vortex. It took me a couple years to learn that that little trick, but
Huge selling feature for those. You're like
yeah, I
bloop
mean,
bloop swapped. Soak the other one
yeah,
later.
exactly, dude, those ones. And if you do that, the pumps they stay quiet, they
Hmm.
last a long time. I mean, I had the same MP10
Hmm.
for like 4.5, 5 years, and it wasn't, it was a little louder than it was brand new, but man, it
Yep.
sure lasted a long time. And I had like 5, 6 wet sides on it, or in rotation at that point
Yep.
in time. I probably get like a new one every year.
Nice.
Um, but it puts a lot less stress on that motor.
Hmm.
Um, and then just like anything, it keeps the pump clean in good condition, and they don't break. You don't get the um, just coming home to a dead pump.
Hmm. Well, I don't know how much it affects the vortex, but I know like the gyro style pumps lose a good percentage of flow when they get dirty. So just cleaning them, gains you a bunch of bonus flow.
Yeah, for me it was a noise thing, and I essentially burned one out, um, not cleaning it,
Yeah. Hmm.
and yeah, so I learned my lesson. That was an MP40 that did that,
Hmm.
and it took probably about a year and a half. But what happened was the inside became so the flat magnet wheel
Yep.
that had like a layer on it, and it basically got hot
Hmm.
and melted the
Oh,
plastic
dang.
cover that goes over it. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Because what I was doing, well, here's the thing. I was cleaning this was the original MP40, so the first one before the QD. I guess not the original one, the one right before the QD.
Mm-hmm.
It still had the plastic sort of rectangle driver, not the tall skinny driver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it so I was cleaning it, but I wasn't opening it up and getting like cleaning that
Oh,
magnet with a
inside.
brush.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was just soaking it, and
Mm-hmm.
you know how it works. So like you can soak something, but it doesn't. You still got to scrub it. You still need the elbow grease,
Yep.
to at least chip it off or get it out of there. And so I think what was happening, I was loosening that, rinsing it, putting it back in, and then it would calcify again. And so it ended up with like a thick, like an eighth of an inch, maybe, give or
Mm-hmm.
take, a layer of precipitate. And that's why, there was no variance or wiggle room in there. Um, and it just started rubbing up on the plastic.
Ah, dang.
Yeah.
I am 100% though having the spare ones make it so easy because there's zero
Yeah.
downtime in the tank. I have
I'm,
a spare MP40, but I don't have any spare 60s because they're freaking expensive. Eventually, I'll get one,
well,
but
yeah, that's a big one.
one day I'll get an extra one.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
How many MP60s are you running on that thing? Just one, right?
two.
You got two? Are you doing it like on opposite ends?
Nope. I don't
Well,
want.
because you're Peninsula.
Yeah, I don't want any equipment visible. So I
So you
have
got a
two on
overflow?
either side of the overflow, and I've been going back and forth debating which way to do it. I had them on anti-sync before, so one side would ramp up and then
Yeah,
the other would drop, and they kind of alternate. And now I currently put them on the same, so they're in sync. So I haven't decided
yeah.
which way I like it
The
better yet.
I know. So I'm gonna do the same thing where I'll
Hmm.
have two on opposite sides of the overflow. Um, and what I've seen before, I like them. I think in sync because I've ran tonsy 60 55s like this where, but it was a drop off tank. It was like a skinny drop off tank. It kind of would do some weird things when you had them on opposite.
Hmm.
It almost seemed like the corals didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was like, turbulent flow, that's fine, but I think it was kind of like, uh, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but for whatever reason, the corals would extend more and get bigger and seemed happier, like I had better polyp
Huh.
extension and whatnot. Like it was
Interesting.
I had a huge gold euphyllia in there,
Hmm.
a wall hammer.
Yep.
I had one of those, and I had big frog spawns in there. I had Well, there's a bunch of zoanthids, and there was a couple like montes and stuff. There was a big alien eye,
Hmm.
like chalice, and I just remember all those euphyllias when I had them on opposite, and it was the same power, mind you, but when I had it on opposite, they wouldn't get as big, and then when I had them going like together, they got a lot bigger. So that was the
Interesting.
reason. I mean, that was the reason that I did it, but
It's only been about
uh,
a week. I don't know if I've noticed anything. Am I gonna pay a little more
yeah,
attention to it and see?
yeah.
Yep. Hey guys, have you talked chillers yet? We have talked a bit about chillers. Thinking
We've
of
talked
putting
about
one in the
everything.
put chiller to put a tank in the garage, undersized or oversized. It really depends. Probably oversized.
Oversized.
Yeah, you don't want it working too hard, right? You want to make sure it can handle
Yeah,
the load.
so it's the same thing. Like a heater, you don't really oversize. You want that kind of spot on. But
Hmm.
your chiller, it's always better to oversize it because you don't want it working hard, um, and you want it to cool fast.
Yep.
Because like if you undersize it, it's going to take a long time to chill it.
Hmm.
And so in that instance, like you're having a huge fluctuation, like a huge rise and fall of temp. Um, and
Now,
so yeah,
on the counterpoint though, you don't want to go too big because then you could have like a
no,
massive temp swing because it just kicks on and drops your tank in 2 minutes. Also,
super,
it's like, ooh.
yeah. But the one thing too is electricity consumption. So these things take
Hmm.
a lot of power. You know, when you've got an undersized chiller, you're constantly on,
Hmm.
and when those things run for let's say more than an hour a day or whatever, you're
You'll notice it on the electricity
you're
bill.
well, you're gonna yeah, you're gonna your electricity bill, and you're gonna wear it out. You're gonna wear it out so quick.
So
Um,
appropriately sized.
well, just a little bit bigger, I think, because
Yeah.
there's like ranges with them. It's not as sort of, and I guess the heater's the same way. It's not as
Well,
straightforward, but
yeah, they're like a quarter horsepower, a third, half horsepower. Like,
yeah, and there's some weird things there because it's like, what kind of lighting are you using?
hmm.
How many wattage of pumps do you have? What's the ambient air temperature? There's all these things that sort of come into play. So, when you say undersize or oversize, I would say always overshoot a little bit just to
Yeah.
make sure you have enough cooling power. At least that's the way I learned to size chillers, and that's how continue to size them.
Nope, perfect. Jason, I live in Florida and have an outdoor 500-gallon saltwater storage container. I don't see a way to manage the temp other than a chiller to turn on before I do a big water change. Now, if you're just storing it, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're doing a big water change, then yeah, you wouldn't want to be super hot. Yeah, someone said also put it in the ground, which is true. Earth's
That's a cool idea.
temperature stays fairly cool and consistent.
That's a
So
cool idea.
that is actually a really good idea. Just bury it a
Yeah,
bit.
buried like storage tanks.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Where have I seen that?
There is. Who is doing that? Someone else.
I've
They
seen it.
had like massive water tanks buried. Like it was crazy. They had like huge
Yeah.
ones.
Oh, it was the guy Sandler. He runs that giant fish tank, and he's in the Aspira's TV group.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a giant. He's got a ton of fish in a giant fish tank. Something Sandler. I always remember because
Okay.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And I've actually
Nice.
asked him. He said no relation. Um, but you know he's got a beautiful. He's got a couple reefs that are smaller, but he's got this giant fish tank, and he said he's adding coral to it too.
Mm-hmm.
But he has buried water bins, but also giant bins for B Ionic, and that's what impressed me.
Hmm.
He had these buried bins for his B Ionic. I think it was just a space thing at that
Yeah.
point.
But if you can, why not? I mean,
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's pouring in like I want to say 10 buckets, 5-gallon buckets ESV
dang,
at a time. Yeah,
that's a
it's
lot of
crazy.
ESP.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
I'll
okay.
look that up. Maybe we can share the link, man, because it's impressive. I'll
Yeah.
look up a post and
Okay.
join Aspira's TV Facebook group, and you will be able to see it. I promise.
Share it, and then I'll throw a link in the description later if you send
Sure,
it to me and I remember.
sure, sure, sure.
So speaking of bearing, so the ground is a very consistent temperature. So in theory, you could also have a water loop running through the ground to probably cool it if it's too hot. Like that might be another idea. I've seen crazy people do that for PCs like way back in the day. They'd like have this copper pipe running through their wall into their yard and do this big crazy loop. So I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work for a tank, right? Similar idea. It's kind of like a baby geothermal type of idea.
Right. I used to hear about that.
Hmm.
Using like a geothermal cooler. But I don't hear about it anymore. Probably because back to the whole like, not many people need to chill their tank.
That's true. Okay, a couple minutes ago, Mike and Rad were asking about the Nero dry side being underwater. So I've had mine submerged for close to 2 years and I've not had an issue with it.
The
Um,
Nero dry side
yeah, the Nero
underwater.
5.
The magnet?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
Like
if you look at it, it is basically identical to the wet side. And my theory is, why are they going to make them separately? It's much cheaper manufacturing to do the exact same process for both magnets, right?
yeah.
So, anyways, I've had mine underwater in the overflow chamber of like some of my smaller tanks for years, never had an issue. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
been
I
probably two
wouldn't.
years, year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years.
I can't remember because I used it. I used it right when it came out, but I did not put it in an overflow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
So
have because I like putting them on the back wall, right? Because then you got the little black pump on the black wall that just disappears rather
yeah.
than the side where you see it. So I always try and hide stuff. I don't like seeing
I
equipment
dig
everywhere.
those pumps, man. I know there's some polarizing opinions on them, but I actually like those pumps.
Oh,
I
they're
like
awesome.
the, oh man, it's like it moved water. It was a flat profile.
Yep.
The simple control on the thing, and then the app
Hmm.
control, of course, was awesome. Um, yeah, no, those pumps are impressive. The only bummer is the whole, lack of a battery.
Yeah,
You can't put a battery on it, but
that's fair.
you could plug it into a UPS and it probably uses next to no electricity.
Well, I think they're 24-volt power adapter, which means if you plugged it into a 24-volt battery backup like an ice cap and
Uh-huh.
just ran it off there 24/7,
Oh, so there
and
you
then you
go.
charge the battery 24/7, that might work. Just the
Yeah,
thought.
you could do that, or just find
Haven't,
the adapter.
haven't tried
Yeah,
it, but could work well.
here we go.
Um, Now
I
today,
found the buried bins. Sorry,
okay,
I'm gonna chat you the link.
Adam Sandler, Andrew Sandler,
No,
sorry.
Andrew. Yeah, Andrew.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you if you're listening there, Andrew Sandler. Thanks for letting us talk about you, man. You have a cool
Yeah.
tank.
Oh, that one. Oh, that's his
Yeah.
tank. I've never seen that post. I thought it was like a public aquarium or something.
No, man, it's in his home.
That's crazy. Okay, I just posted in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
chat.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a huge home tank. Holy smokes!
Yeah. I mean, and that's not. He's got a couple of them.
Wow.
That's just his like he has a big fish tank, but then he's got. Just go search Aspira's TV, man.
Yeah,
Search
that's
the group,
crazy.
man. You'll see tons of stuff. He usually posts on Fridays.
That's amazing. Huh. Awesome. Okay. Now today I also wanted to do the draw for the Alcatronic giveaway. because that ended on Friday.
Ooh,
I
nice,
know.
nice, nice.
I know.
That's exciting.
So the question is, I want to do the Wheel of Death because it's always fun.
Okay.
So how many names should we draw to throw on the elimination wheel? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, how do they get eliminated? I
Uh,
guess I have to see this Wheel of Death thing.
yeah,
It just,
just a name
it's
gets
just two
pulled off
rounds
every
of
time.
spinning, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So there
Uh,
was how many?
5? Is
Oh,
that a
I
weird
was
number?
thinking 20 or 30.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. How
Okay.
about 32? Because I like that number.
32? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I need to go see the stats because I'm curious now. So there was 734 people that entered.
Ooh, you guys got a good chance.
Yeah. So now there was multiple actions, so you can get bonus entries. So if you're extra lucky, your name may show up twice. Then you got 2 chances. So winners. So I'm gonna tell it to pick 32 winners. I'm gonna copy and paste those names onto the wheel of elimination.
Good
All
luck
right.
to you all.
Yeah. Hopefully some people that are in here.
Alcatronic, man.
That
That's
is
no
a sweet
shabby
prize.
prize. That is not too shabby, buddy.
I was really trying to think like what is something that's like amazing to have, but not something that most people would buy. Like what makes a big impact that most
Totally.
people aren't gonna do because it's
And
not
like
cheap. It's not cheap.
any reef tank owner
Yeah,
could use that for
anyone
sure.
will appreciate it, and it's something that's like would be wicked to win because most
It's not just
people
like an
don't
extra
have it.
protein skimmer. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yep.
I have 2 protein skimmers now.
No, exactly. 32 winners out of 732 potential. Allow repeat winners. Yep, you can have repeat winners. That's all those multiple actions. See if it works. Anytime draw. Dun dun dun. 40%, 70%, 100%. Give me the names. Okay, I gotta figure out a way to copy here. Export winners. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm exporting this to an Excel sheet so that I can copy and paste it onto the wheel.
The wheel of
Death. Dun
death.
dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Can we play some Slayer while we do this?
Um,
I really like that band.
Nothing that will get my channel in trouble.
Oh yeah, probably everything they play will get your channel in trouble.
Yeah, darn. I legitly pay for royalty-free music so that I don't get in trouble for all my music.
There you go.
As fun as that is paying for it all. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, we got 32 names. Let me delete all my test names when I was prepping the wheel earlier. Base list. Boom. Add choices. All right. Dun dun dun. This is kind of exciting. Apply changes. All right, so we have 32 people on the wheel. Too late to enter? Yes, it is. The contest was open for like a month. So plenty of time to enter. So if you missed it, I apologize. I'll do another one at some point in the future because they're fun. I love doing contests.
What was this one all about? I don't think I saw it.
Just hit 25K on YouTube. So I was like, I'm gonna do something cool for it.
Nice. What was your entry criteria? Comment, see, share.
Just there was like
Put your
literally,
name right here.
yeah, one of them was just
Yeah.
be an entry of the channel, like just
Right.
here's a subscriber, here's an entry, and then like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
check out the
yeah.
Facebook group, get a bonus one. Check out
Yeah, I
Instagram,
guess
get a bonus. So
when you have the followers, it's like okay, all the followers are automatically entered. So
yeah,
then you
basically,
get like a gift for just watching me.
yeah, yeah. They had to fill out their name, so it
I
was
like
pretty
that one.
easy
Yeah.
barrier to entry.
Right.
All right,
And
guys.
then,
I don't know if there's anyone here, but hopefully somebody that's in here. Some of them are on the chat. So okay,
hopefully, fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. All right, so first one off the list. So this is elimination. Jeremy, sorry, buddy. I'm gonna do it fairly rapid fire, so you have to wait all day. Farewell, Dean. Sorry, Dean. Way too Canadian. I like apologize for it all. Dun dun dun. Farewell, Joshua.
Are the names like spinning on the screen right now?
Yeah,
Like,
sorry, you can't see it.
No. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
Diana. Sorry, Diana. Yep. So every time it picks one, it's removing one. So it goes until there's one left.
Sure.
Nicola. No, I told it to pick 32 names. Well, Robert picked 32. Jonathan. Sorry, Jonathan. Dun dun dun. Death week. Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Nathan, if you're in the chat. Matthew. It's getting down there. Sorry, Christopher. There goes Steve.
No, Steve.
There goes Rondi. Sorry, Tyler. Good dad. Out of there. What else we got? Matt. Farewell, Matt. I see my name, RB. Nice. Andrew, sir Andrew. You're... Oh, wrong window. You're still in the running. If that's you, RB. 3 Zoomy. Jeremy RNN. He is actually. He's holding out pretty good. Michael. We got Jacob. Timothy. It's getting down there. Yeah, that's me on Gleam. Ah, sorry, Jeremy. Actually, no, Jeremy too. He's out. Rookie Reefer. Ah, sorry, Rookie. I know you're in the chat too.
Oh, bump, bump,
Uh-oh.
bump.
Sorry, Brad. Sorry, Matt. We're getting down there, man. There's 4 or 5 left. Neil. Ori. Okay, 3 names left. That means like 2 more spins. That does not sound like a real name. They're out of there. Oh. Jules out there. That means RB. Is that actually you, RB? That's in the chat right now? I have to look. RB, what's your actual name? I want to know if that's you. If it is you, congratulations. That's wicked if it is.
It's awesome.
All right.
Congrats to RB, whoever you are. That's an awesome prize.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what's the start of your email? I just want to totally check if that's you. Because that's completely awesome if it is. Yeah, tell me the first part of your email, because I just want to see if it matches up. Or where you're located. Because congratulations, that's super awesome if it is. Whoop, whoop. That's wicked, man. I'm stoked if it's you, because that's pretty sweet that someone's actually here. Because I hate it when you draw, but they're not live. It's like way more fun if they are. Congratulations! So that's a pretty sweet prize. So automatic alkalinity tester. And which is one of my favorite things to have on the tank, because you can just send me an email. Perfect. Awesome. Congratulations, man. Wicked. There you go, cool. Robert. Thank Robert on picking the 32 names, because that may have played into it. I don't want to say in the chat. Sounds good.
That's my lucky Vegas number, 32 and 14. So we can thank gambling for that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. It's a me, Mario, aka RB. So you will no longer have to test your alkalinity again.
That's awesome.
Good place to be. Hey, on that note, do you plan on doing any auto testers on your tank, Robert?
No and yes. So yeah. So off the bat, I'm gonna use HANA alkalinity checker and just checkers in general. So I'll use those. I'll probably have a lineup of Salifert test kits because they're just the ones I go to and always have been. That's how I will start the tank. But I'm sure this tank will have a controller before long, so I'm almost positive we'll see a Trident. But if not, who knows? Maybe I'll have an aqua spin.
Yeah, you never know. That's the new one.
You never know. Well, that's the one we were talking about before the stream. I think it was posted on Reef Builders. It's just like a testing unit. But yeah, man, I'm sure I'll try something someday. But I told myself I'm gonna build this tank. So the concept is like I want to use, I want to, a lot of times reefing comes across as really, really hard, and there's hard aspects, but I want sort of to make this tank build like something that's tangible and understandable, and people can feel like they can achieve it and use products that they can, they have access to, and they can afford, they have access to, they feel like they can use them, and some of those products out there, you and I both know, are just like not really within reach of a first or two, 1 or 2 year reefer. So idea is I'm gonna build the tank and essentially not run it with a controller for the first year, and then talk about adding a controller after the fact. You can do it. Yeah. That is the trajectory of just about everybody. Now it's nice to have your control board and build your tank with all these cool automation things. Don't get me wrong, that's awesome. I love it. But we do see a lot of builds like that, and there's a lot of young reefers now, man. They're growing up, and I hate to hear people talk about like, well, I'll never use that, or I can't use that, or man, I don't understand that. I just, the hobby is something that, with a little bit of persistence and all the information available at our fingertips, Asperger's TV, Devin's channel, all of this cool stuff, Reef to Reef, all the Randy Holmes Farley articles, like all this stuff that's accessible to you. I think you just kind of have to know where to find it, and I think a lot more people could enjoy reef keeping if we didn't make it come across so hard sometimes.
It's
So
true.
kind of my goal with this one anyway.
Make it easy.
Well, yeah, it's as easy as I possibly can anyway.
Well, it can be as easy or as complicated as you want to make it, right? Like you can
Sure,
literally
sure, yeah, there's a good way to say it.
have a tank. You don't even need a sump. You can have a 20-gallon tank and do a once a week water change and have a power head and a light.
Now
That's it.
that is what I'm excited about. Auto water change. That is the
Oh,
one.
oh, so
Yeah, I
good.
know. But see, this is the thing. Like, people hate fish tanks because of water changes and will get out of the hobby because of it. They'll mess them up or forget, or they just get sick of doing them. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to build an auto water exchange right off the bat, and you will never, if this is your first fish tank and you do it, like
Hmm.
our first reef tank, let's say, you will have a great experience because not only will the tank be very stable,
Yep.
but you won't be frustrated with having to do water changes, and you will probably test your water instead.
Hmm. It's
So
true. Well,
hopefully these concepts come to fruition, and
yeah.
I can connect with people and drive some of these points home.
Hmm.
But time will tell.
No,
That's
exactly.
my goals. That's my goals and my thoughts with it all.
Hmm. It's you can make it super duper easy. Like it does not have to be complicated.
Sure.
Pet Mall Life. Here's some dough for the next prize. Thanks for the $5 super chat.
Attaboy. I
We'll work
wish
on
we could go
something.
get copies together.
Right, right. We'll
Such a
work on
bummer,
this.
man. It's been, God, when was the last time we shook hands? 2.5 years ago? 2 years ago?
Did I see any of the Reef Paloozas? I think it was Macna in Las Vegas, maybe. No,
I'm
I
wearing a
must have seen
Macna
you since
shirt.
then.
Okay, I'm wearing a Macna shirt. But this
Nice.
was 20, what year
Yeah,
was it? San Diego. This was 20, no, shoot, 2016. Wow. Time flies, man. I guess it was Vegas.
I think so. I don't know if I've seen it in Rap or Orlando. Did you make it? No, I don't think you did.
I'm not sure. 2020, so I didn't go last year. It was 2018 for sure.
You
So,
weren't in. You didn't go to Hurricane Macna?
no,
No,
I didn't go to anything
too
in
bad.
2019. Yeah, 2019 was a moving across the country year.
Hmm. Macna 2020 because we were there and then they had like the hurricane that was coming
Yeah.
and was all like hunkered down. I was like, ah, look at that. So, but
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I almost went. Remember, I asked you if I could room with you
yeah,
because I'd already moved to Tennessee at that time. I was like,
yep,
man, I can get a ticket for $100 to go down there. I should just go. A,
should,
a plane ticket, that was.
yeah.
And no, I didn't go to any shows. And then this year, we've got nothing. We're all staying home and talking on computers. So,
So that year,
what I look forward to it.
last year survived a hurricane. This year, a pandemic. You know, what other bucket list items can we get for natural survival?
Blue ring octopus sting
Ah, there you go.
or bite. Yeah,
Another one to add to the list.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man.
I
All
do.
right.
DIY is fun. I do agree. All
Yeah.
right, you got a header pretty quick here. We're at the hour mark. RB, aka It's a Me Mario. Congratulations, because that's a pretty sweet prize. Robert, thank you for coming on as always.
Sure.
Because
It's
love
always a
having you.
pleasure, man.
It is.
Hopefully, I will see you back in a month, right?
You betcha,
First week,
man.
first week
Yep.
of the month. We're
Yep.
shooting for the first week of the month, so I'll see you guys then.
Yep. The Robert pre-commitment.
Yeah.
It was good. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, if you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Get sweet prizes, apparently. I don't know. I'll try and do another one, maybe at like 30,000K or something. That's not too far away. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on next week's live stream. Cheers.